Well, hello there. Ewan here, by the way, if you didn't already know. Welcome back to the second instalment of the Modern Man podcast. It's funny because I told myself I'd do this a long time ago, probably about a year ago, and it's been there, an open loop in the back of my mind, pretty much ever since, to just start doing the podcast. Weirdly had a big moment of inspiration last week, so I started it. Maybe after the back of being a guest on the Just One Man podcast, which is really, really good. So I would 100% go and check those guys out. Some amazing guests, amazing setup. Definitely a lot more professional than my setup here right now, that's for sure. And some really great topics to talk about, to listen to gain insights from. But yeah, that's a little unsolicited plug for those guys. And I am feeling a little bit tired. Had an incredibly good bank holiday, celebrating a couple of really, really good mates' wedding on Saturday. So yeah, fair few beers were had. Definitely got away with not having as a severe hangover as I probably should have, considering the amount of beers that I consumed. Although I can't speak for the stag that we had, probably the worst hangover I've ever had when we went to Benidorm. But hey ho. The whole point of today, I'll stop waffling, is to chat about a question that I get asked quite a lot, and I got asked it again on the podcast that I went on a few weeks ago with the guys up in Merthyr. And that question is, what is a modern man? What even is a modern man? And before I get into that, I want to give you a little backstory. Some of you listening may have seen, may have heard, may know me already, so you kind of know a little bit about where I've been and what I've done and gone through over the past 10 years. In a nutshell, about 10 years ago, I had really, 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 really poor mental health. I was drinking a lot, doing drugs recreationally a fair bit, and long story short, yes, I did have some fun times, for sure. A lot of the time, I'd say the majority of the time, I was anxious, and these things would give me that momentary break from the anxiety that I was experiencing, until hit a pretty much a crisis point. I was having panic attacks daily. My mental health was horrendous. I had zero self-awareness at the time of the destructive behaviours, the avoidance. I knew I was capable of so much more. But I had a bit of a wake-up call when at Boardmasters Festival, if any of you have been there. Good fun, good festival, some good acts. Nice coastline down in Cornwall. Lovely scenic spot as well. Yeah, it's on a cocktail of stuff. And then I remember a couple of the lads back at the tent, and we'd finished off the night, had a little bit of weed. And then 2 seconds later, I could just feel this tingling, which started in my feet and slowly crept its way all the way up my body, just this weird fiery tingling to my head. And then I was like to the guys with me, I was like, guys, I feel really weird. I think I'm going to die. Because at that time then as well, I could weirdly struggle to breathe, struggle to catch my breath, tried to just lie down and go to sleep, but felt like I just kept I just can't speak. The brain fog is real from the weekend. the breathlessness just kept coming back, and it felt as though I was constantly just suddenly gasping for air, like I was stopping breathing. And so I took myself to the med tent, wandered over, told them what was going on, although I was really quite conscious, but there was this absolute whirlwind going on in my head. And basically, I wasn't quite the same since that, long story short. Afterwards, finding out I was struggling with quite severe anxiety, had what you'd call depersonalization, derealization, which is a symptom of anxiety, symptom of chronic stress. When you're under that much, your brain tries to protect you, and so it kind of zones out, it kind of puts you in that spaceship, so to speak. It's really hard to explain unless you've experienced it, but think of it like sometimes you're not really there, but you are. When it gets super severe, you are almost outside yourself, and it's like you're looking down at your life, like you're a sim. Kind of hard to explain, like I said. So if you've experienced it, you'll know. If you haven't experienced it, good. At the same time, it's very hard to imagine. And so from there, I went on this journey of self-exploration, self-development, self-discovery, because essentially I did not want to feel like that anymore. I knew, like I said before, that there was a lot more that I could give, that I could do, that I had within me so much potential, not just physically, but also, yes, mentally, but also to be of service to others. And that I don't know why or where, but I had this gut feeling that I could help a lot of people. And that's what I wanted to do. But first I needed to sort myself out. And that's kind of the origin of where the modern man arised, or how it came about, was from that hardship, that moment of real struggle, and working my way through that, through, like I said, trialing out loads of different things, learning about physiology, learning about psychology, digging into different methods, but also different schools of thought, like CBT, down the psychological route, like Jungian psychology. I'm not that clued up on it, but I do know a little bit here and there. And then physiology and how that affects your psychology. So things like really dug into gut health, done loads of tests like poop tests, stool tests, blood tests, all these different things, because my gut was in a mess. And often, your gut and your brain are very, very linked. And so often when one is a little bit out of whack, the other one can be or will be at some point. So just dug into all these things, listened to a lot, learned a lot, and then applied, because that's what really, really makes change, is the application of the things that you learn. And there's that quote, isn't there? Knowledge is power. I think that's bullshit, because it's not. Applied knowledge is power, because that's what creates action and creates change to whatever it is that you want to achieve. And so I'll cut to the chase. What even is a modern man? I think it's not about the accolades. It's not about the outcome. It's not about the physique, the performance. Fully, yes, absolutely is somewhat. We all want to achieve. I did a photo shoot a month ago. I can't say it's not about the outcome, because it is. But I think it's more about the who, the person, the man that you become, on the road, on the way to achieving a goal. Going back to that story, my goal was to become sound of mind again because the anxiety took over. And on the route, yes, I went through a lot of self-discovery, a lot of challenge, a lot of trials, tribulations. On the other side now, the man I've become is way more self-aware, way more grounded, way more confident. Still a lot of work to do, I believe, especially in that confidence area. But levels and worlds apart from where I was back then. There'd be no chance that I'd be on here chatting to you right now with a fair bit of confidence. And so it's about focusing on the trajectory that you're on as opposed to the outcome. The actions, the behaviours, how you show up day to day. And so it's about character. And it's not like, oh, you have to become this man. You can be who you are, whatever, not so much sex, but whatever gender, whoever you are. There is no set, this is what a man is. It's living in alignment with the man that you want to be. So, getting aware, which is why self-awareness is key, of your values, your morals, the virtues that you want to embody throughout the day. Confidence, charisma, energetic, wisdom, gratitude. Getting clear on those. Because once you're clear on those, you can align your day with those values. And that is one of the biggest things to protect yourself psychologically as well, I believe. And I think it's about, I think it is about getting your fundamentals right. Or another way of putting this, and what I've learned, is your positive psychology basics. Because once you've got those in a good spot, that's like your foundation. You can then build and build and build and grow taller, bigger, better than you ever could before. Because I know, if you're like me, you have this gut feeling that you are and can be so good. And you've got that potential to absolutely smash life, smash your career, smash your physical performance goals. And so these positive psychology basics, getting your eating, moving, sleeping, breathing, social circle, and savouring and gratitude for the things you have. And so these are the foundational layers of being a modern man and becoming a modern man. And I want to tell you a little story about one of the modern men, one of the OGs actually, a couple of years ago. I remember we were sat, never normally do this, but we were sat in my flat, or my dad's flat where I was staying at the time. Cup of tea, peppermint. He'd reached out initially on LinkedIn and Instagram. We were sat there, nice cup of peppermint tea in hand, just chatting about where he was at, what he wanted to achieve. He was in a pretty bad spot. Definitely not feeling good within himself. He'd lost his driving licence. He'd almost lost his kids because of the behaviours and the man that he was behaving as at that time, or previous to that. Just unhelpful behaviours with drinking. Also, yes, a little bit of dabbling into drugs and things like that. Not looking after himself, not eating well, not moving his body. And it was having a big effect on, his mental health, his physical health, his family. And one big thing that he mentioned was that he was able to look himself in the mirror and be fully honest and upfront with where he had been. The honest truth that the behaviours he was embodying, which weren't the ones that he wanted to be, that he knew he could. Addicted to bad behaviours, immoral at the time, lying. These are words that he said, and that his family had mentioned to him. He's like, I don't want to be that guy anymore. I lost my way. Yeah, he was here in my living room, laying everything out on the table with full honesty. He's like, Ewan, I do not want to be that guy anymore. That is not me. I've lost my way. This is how I want to be. I lost the love of my life because she said she couldn't be with me because of the behaviours that I was embodying. She didn't want me to be around her and her kids. She wanted a role model. He was like, I want to be that role model. Long story short, he jumped in, we worked together. He literally committed to the man that he wanted to be every single day. Virtuous, grateful for what he had, confident in who he is underneath all those layers that had been plastered on over time and over years, and over over the behaviours that he was embodying. And now he's reconnected with his kids. He's actually marrying the love of his life that he'd lost through his behaviours. Completely did a 180. Sometimes, frustratingly, it's hitting that low point, it's hitting that point of crisis that makes you realise that actually, do you know what, I need to pull my finger out, I need to do something. Because oftentimes it takes the pain of being in a really bad spot to give you that little wake-up call, that little switch flicks in your mind. Doesn't have to be that way. It can be through a moment of inspiration. However, I do think that the unfortunate part of being human is that sometimes we have to get super uncomfortable and be in that frustration, be in that pain for us to start taking that action. Which is why I think a big thing to reflect upon is that trajectory, like I spoke about earlier. Where are you going to end up if you continue with the same behaviours, the same habits that you're currently doing? Stay the same, which ultimately will, from what I've seen, most likely end up in slight decline as we age. Are we going on a downward trajectory, or are we making those switches, making those changes, and getting ourselves on that upward trajectory to the man, to the outcome that we want as well. And there's a really powerful training that we have inside the Modern Man called the 10 Pillars for Mental Mastery. Excuse me. Which is really, really powerful training to be able to direct your mind and think about the who, think about the what, and think about the why. Because these things together can really, really help you become that man that you want to be. Just give me a message, find me a message on Instagram if you want to check out that training. I'll give it to you completely free, no worries at all. And so that's what it's about, really. The who, the what, and the why. Looking at that trajectory that you're on. Living in alignment with those things. The who, the what, and the why. Getting clear on your values, knowing yourself, that self-awareness. Living with integrity, honesty. Like Sam does now. Hope that helps. Hope that's answered some kind of question that you may have had around what the hell even is a modern man. If I could put it into one sentence now, it's living in alignment with the man that you want to be. Pretty much. Physically, mentally. And I'll leave you there. Hope you enjoy your bank holiday Monday, if you're listening to this then. And yeah, have a great week. Catch you all very soon.